Yes. I had some reservations about doing this video, but then I thought, well, now hang on a minute. I can maybe smuggle in some base right-wing propaganda. I just need to word it very carefully. So, Asmongold, Twitch streamer, I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you're caught up on the skinny of the story by now. So, Asmongold made the horrid mistake of saying things based on observational reality, and in a society dominated by avoiding reality at all cost, it will cost you if you acknowledge reality. Yes, very funny. Because I watched the debate between him and Hassan Piker talking about the conflict over in the Middle East, and shout out to Harmful Opinions for streaming that mess, because I think I would have gone nuts if it wasn't for his commentary, so cheers for that one, mate. Asmon basically said those people are not like us, their culture is inferior, and so bollocks to them. Also said that he cares more about his own countrymen, which is a completely normal position to have. But let's be honest about a couple of things. In our society, the words superior and inferior, thanks to a certain Austrian painter, seems to have become synonymous with genocide, which is stupid and insane. As far as what is better or worse is concerned, that is very much contingent on what someone values in their own culture. If you value, say, physical prowess and discipline, and you see a society of Uber Eats and fat bastards, well, the technological marvels of said society will fall by the wayside when the inhabitants are out-of-shape buckets of lard hell-bent on mass consumption above all else. You can cheer equality all you want, but how's it working out for you, Our art is pathetic and glorifies all that is ugly, weak, and over-emotional. Lower marriage rates, less children, women are promiscuous as sin, a disturbingly large amount of them are munching down on antidepressants, men are aimless and without drive or value, and the very essence of masculinity is being grounded down to a fine powder offered on the altar that claims our very existence is to be exalted above all else. Wouldn't exactly extol Western civilization right now if I were you, Asmon. Oh, and by the way, I can sum up Hassan's position during that whole thing with a single sentence. He is a freaking nutcase globalist blank slate theorist who actually believes material prosperity brings about acknowledgement and the need to care about the Skittle Squad. How on earth he gets to that, I have no freaking clue. The idea that material prosperity somehow leads to a loopy concoction of the sexes? I mean, by that logic, the Saudi royal family should all be high-ranking progressives. I wonder why they aren't. Which sort of leads me to my point here. So, one of my subs messaged me and said, "You were right about Asmongold. You said you felt he would most easily bend when push comes to shove. I didn't think that was the case because he was getting more based. But he did, and he apologized for his comments about not caring about Palestinians in the war. Said, I was so sure you'd be wrong about that one. How do you get it right so often? I said, oh, well, that's easy. Left-wingers follow power, right-wingers adhere to values. Remember the chart that I had a while back where I said the left is a gradient and the right is absolute? It's basically that. I mean, look at your civilization like this. Let's take, for example, the Rainbow Rennies. From a purely functional perspective, are they more enduring? Are they more stress-resistant? Are they stronger or smarter? Do they possess any qualities whatsoever that improve your society by any quantifiable metric? Is there anything tangible that makes them deserving of a distinctive category of anti-discrimination laws? No. So why are they valued? Because without God, man worships the state, and whatever it says goes. The function is obedience to the regime. I said it before, all the people that scream fascismus would all support the SS in the Third Reich. Put them in the Soviet Union, they would all be loyal comrades, because they just follow power. If you see any people follow anything that makes absolutely no functional sense outside of it being the she social thing to do, they follow power. If you're a proper, based right-winger, you acknowledge hard truths about the world, about groups, about intelligence, sexes, civilization and philosophy, so on and so forth. And considering the large following Asmon has, and on Twitch no less, he will never be proper based in any public setting, and you'd be mad to think that he would try. He has nothing to gain by pushing the boundaries. He's a milquetoast normie. Now, he did get dropped by Starforge System, who put out this cringe drivel. Starforge unequivocally rejects all forms of discrimination, hatred, and violence. We stand by and align ourselves with those around the world seeking to foster acceptance, unity, and dignity, blah, blah, blah. Shut up! Oh, I fucking despise this corporate PR crap because it's meaningless. Rejects all forms of discrimination. You're literally discriminating against Asmongold right now by dropping him for espousing an opinion. Is he the only one in your company that has a similar opinion? No. Well, then you're actively discriminating against people who don't share your opinions, which is normal, by the way. No living soul doesn't discriminate. Like, heaven's sake, in a war you side with someone, you're actively discriminating against the opposite faction. Hatred and violence. I'm going to assume you hate criminals and you favor violence when it comes to apprehending them. Acceptance, unity, and dignity. None of that is even real or tangible. I hate this fence-sitting bollocks because there's nothing genuine here. It's valueless gunk designed to be as inoffensive as possible for the sake of keeping up appearances. But enough of that. Let's proceed to some spicy stuff here, shall we? The apology, then. Naturally, I imagine most of you watching this, you're on the same page as me. Apologies don't do jack shit in this case, but let's take a look at why. Now, I'm of the opinion that an apology can only be one-to-one. It can't be mapped one to a group. The sincerity aspect is lacking. And that sincerity can only be mapped voluntarily, whereas a mob can only be coercive. That's the whole point of the mob. It is the muscle that compels the coercion. There's no sincerity there. That's a threat. At which point, you, the individual, ceases to matter. Your only use in that scenario is as a warning example to other people. You're essentially a head on a pike that's being paraded around. We hold power, don't screw with us. And now I'm going to say something kind of controversial. I do believe in a form of cancel culture. And guess what? So do you. Now, one thing that we like to do on this channel is break down concepts to the bare bones so we can see what we're dealing with. So let's do that with cancel culture. So start with, what is it? It is essentially the angry pitchfork mob demanding something. Functionally, though, it's merely the enforcement of a standard. Now, you're free to dislike the standard currently being imposed because it's cringe and gay. Fair enough. We could say it's coercive, it's sinister, it's morally reprehensible, etc., etc. But is it effective? The reason I say I favor this is because you can't have a functioning society without this mechanism. We just tend to think of the cancel culture force as immoral due to the actors and actions. Again, fair enough. This mechanism, though, has three parts: offense, enforcement, punishment. Well, you can apply that to crime. Offense is the crimes, enforcement is the police, the punishment is imprisonment and/or fines. Being too drunk in a bar. Offense, you're tanked. Enforcement, you won't be served any more alcohol. Punishment, you'll be out on your ass because you're being a belligerent wanker. Speaking of ass, the force doesn't necessarily have to be physical. It can be something else. The induction and use of social shaming, for example. Apply it to weight. Offense, being overweight. Enforcement, social shaming. Punishment, you will keep being shamed until your ass stops having its own gravitational pull. Cheers for watching, and once again, I apologize for nothing.